Hello everyone, welcome to gilgeekify channel. My name is Said Qansal, and in this video I want to show you how to create a simple web application that can count words, characters and lines inside a text area using Vanilla JavaScript. Okay, let's test our program. This is what we are going to build. I have some text in my clipboard, and as you see our app counting from data in text area. I also created a clear button. I will add a source code link inside the description so you can download and use it. If you enjoy my content, please like this video, click the subscribe button and turn on notification for future videos. Thank you. Okay, let's start from scratch. I will create three files: index.html, style.css, and app.js for JavaScript. Well, now I open the folder with the code editor and use the Visual Studio Code. First, I create a user interface with HTML and CSS and then going to write required functions in JavaScript. Okay, let me open the browser and set up screen for a preview. I will open index.html file in the browser. I'm working with HTML and CSS now. Let me test hello world in the browser. Well, let's adding HTML5 document declaration. Adding HTML tag with United States English language. Adding the head tag. I have some meta tags and Bootstrap 5 and Google Font API in my clipboard. Let me paste it here. I think this needs some zoom out. Okay. Now I link style.css file inside my HTML document. Adding the body tag. Now link my JavaScript file with name app.js. I use Bootstrap, so I add a container and a row and a column. Now I add a h2 tag with page underscore title class. I add a text here, word, character and line counter. Okay, now refresh the browser. As you can see, the page has an automatic refresh because we have a meta tag that can refresh web page every second. I use this tag to quickly see the preview. let me add a title for this web page. We have an auto refresh for every update from document. Well, now let's create a user interface for our app. I add a div class with name field. I add a span tag with two classes, btn-clear and btn-danger. This is our clear button. Now I create a text area with a label. Enter some text. And this is my text area field. In text area tag, we can use rows and calls attributes for set height and width. I will use rows with the number 10 in my text area. Okay, now we have a text area here. Now I create a row with 3 columns, so we can display our result with JavaScript by manipulating DOM in these columns. This is our word counter column with ID word_counter. Well, let me clone it. This is our character counter column with ID character_counter. And the last one, line counter column with ID line_counter. Oh, excuse me? Line number should be 1 because the first line is 1, not 0. Well, now we have a complete HTML document, so let's start coding in CSS. I've added Google Font API inside my HTML document before, so I will use JetBrains Mono font. Well, I want to design a dark theme, so I use white color for my text. I want to use an image as background, so add a black background color, and when image is not loaded, we have a black background. In my clipboard, I have an image link, so I use it for background image URL. Okay, let me save it. The background image has been loaded. Now I will add some styles to text area for a better look in dark mode. a white border color, and a border radius 12 pixel, and a transparent background color. I add a transition here, so when we focus text area, we will see a smooth effect. Well, now I'm going to add an effect for this text area using box shadow property. Adding a focus effect on text area using box shadow property with a transition animation and orange color. Let's check it. Nice. Adding some space between text area and word character and line row. Okay, now change the clear button style and its position as well. I add a pointer cursor here. The cursor is a pointer that indicates a link, typically an image of a pointing hand. I want to put the button in the middle of border top of text area in right side. Let me save. Okay, this button needs some padding. And also some margin. I want to put the clear button to middle of text area border top. Well, it's okay now. I want to create a simple hover animation for this clear button, so adding the transition here. Let's create a hover effect for a clear button. Now I add a hover with transform scale property. Transform scale property does like that. I think it's okay. And now adding a better red background color. Well, in HTML we have h2 tag with page_title class. Let me change the position of page title with text line center and some margin. Okay, now changing the style of word character and the line text. Changing font size, adding a green color, then make font weight bold. let me resize the browser window. And I forgot something. A border radius property for my clear button. Well, now we have a usable template. So let's close HTML and CSS files, then disable auto refresh and start JavaScript coding. Opening JavaScript file with name app.js. If you enjoy my content, please like this video, click the subscribe button and turn on notification for future videos. Thank you. Okay, I have some info in my clipboard, I comment that for you. Regex or regular expression is a sequence of characters that specify a search pattern in text. For word counting function, I'm using regex. With first regex pattern, we can only count English words. And with second regex pattern, we can count words in any language. Let's define required variables. We need to define 5 variables: text area, clear button, word, character and line elements. First, I define a variable for text area. Getting text area element by ID. Now I clone it to 5 variables. Getting words element by ID. Getting characters element by ID. Getting lines element by ID. And the last one, getting clear button by ID. I forgot something. This should be characters. Okay, let's define a function for counting words from text area. I name this function word_counter. Now I define a regex pattern variable and using the pattern from top. In this line, I define a variable with name word_trigger, and inside it, I'm using the JavaScript match function with data field in text area by user. The JavaScript match function, if match is found, returns an array containing the matches, and return null if no match is found. So we have a word checker variable here. I'll define an if statement. If my word checker variable does not return null, it means we have matched words. So we have an array of matched words. And in this line, we are counting the number of matched words by the JavaScript length function. Well, now I add another if statement. Now we are defined how and where new count number display. If total words variable found more than one word, I display word in plural. And if it's found one word, I will display word in singular. I add an else here. It means my word checker variable returns null, so no word has been found. And in this line, I add the default number of the word. It's 0. Okay, we have a word counter function now. So let's add this function inside the JavaScript onInput event. OnInput is an event that executes a JavaScript when the user writes or pastes something in an input field. And in this case, I call word counter function inside an onInput event. So with every data change from text area, that word counter function going to run. Well, now let's try that function works or not. Nice, it's working fine. Okay, now I'm gonna write a function for counting characters. Function character underscore counter counting characters. It is so simple. I define a variable with the length of value inside text area. Display plural count. I'll define an if statement. I should change line of this comment. Display a character count, characters. And now I manipulate HTML DOM using inner HTML to display new count. Plural count is okay. Now let's add a singular count. Display singular count. Well, I think this function is okay. Now let's add this function inside uninput event. Call character counter function. Character underscore counter. Okay, now I'm gonna test it. Refresh the browser, adding some text here, and it's worked fine. Nice. Well, now let's write a line counter function using regex. Function line underscore counter. Define a regex underscore pattern variable. I have a pattern in my clipboard. With this regex pattern we can count lines. And like word counter, here inside line checker variable I'm using JavaScript match function with a regex and text area value. When one or more lines detected, I'll define an if statement. Line checker variable returns lines or null. So if it's not null, we have lines inside this variable, and we are going to count this line's number. Now I'm counting lines from the line checker variable using the JavaScript length function, and I write +1 here because the first line should be counted. Okay, it's time to display the number of lines in plural and singular. Opening if statement. display a plural count with manipulating HTML DOM. And display singular count with manipulating HTML DOM. And in this else we have no lines, so I'm gonna show default number for lines. It's 1. Setting number 1 for lines underscore element. Well, now we have a line counter function. So let's call this function inside the text area onInput event. Refresh the browser. Okay, now I'm gonna test our line counting function. Nice, it's working fine as well. Well, now I'm gonna write a function for clearing text area, then connect it with my clear button. Function clear underscore button. I change this to text area. In this function, I'm gonna empty text area value, and I'm changing number of word count, character count, and line count with their default number. Manipulating words element. Now characters element. And the last one, line element. Okay, now we have a complete clear function. So let's connect it with the clear button. I call the clear underscore text area function when the clear button is clicked using JavaScript onClick event. Well, that's all. Now let's check the clear button. There is an issue. Let me check it. And yes, unclick returns null. I think I forgot something in HTML. Yes, I should add a clear underscore button ID for my clear button. And let's check the clear button again. Nice, it's working fine. That's all. Thank you for watching. If you enjoy my content, please like this video, click the subscribe button and turn on notification for future videos. Thank you.